have online meetings with other classes. But so yeah, let's get going. I guess we'll get going on the Cake Financial one since it was already due. I don't think we should spend a ton of time on that. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, I think keep it short and sweet.
John, do you want to spearhead that one?
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, I look at this as an evaluation case summary where we're just evaluating the decisions he's made up to this point and where to go from there with his second venture, and really focusing on whether it's was a good experience, even though it was failure, or bad failure. I personally felt like it was a good one because it was a learning opportunity for him. Anytime that you learn out of the experience, it's a positive thing, even though it might not have been monetarily positive for him. Big things that I think he could have done differently is obtain more customer feedback throughout the process. I think he missed a big opportunity when he skipped alpha and beta testing to be a part of TechCrunch. I think he missed a big opportunity there to get customer feedback on the product up front, which would have saved him tons of time and energy that he had to spend later on as he rolled out the product. So I think just that obtaining customer feedback along the way and being able to respond quicker to it would have been a way to be more successful with what he had. And of course, unfortunate timing with the market crash just kind of hit him at a bad time.
Yeah. Do you think they should have cut their losses earlier? Or do you think they should have gone longer before cutting their losses?
Personally, I think if they would have cut it earlier, they would have not gotten the value that they did out of E-Trade. That last 6 months where they really tightened up the staff and really focused on a lot of little enhancements, made it so it was a more marketable product and more successful there to be able to sell off. If they would have done it earlier, they would have missed all that. If they would have dragged on longer, they wouldn't have had funds to keep things moving. So I think it was an all right time to move forward with the sale.
Did it say in the case study how much they sold their assets for? I didn't see that.
It didn't. I tried looking it up, and there was a something about on TechCrunch, and it said that they never did mention it. So I don't think anyone really knows how much he sold it for. And I was hoping it would tell you, that way we could know if, maybe he didn't lose money, maybe he actually made a profit off of it. But
well, he was just selling assets, so buildings, whatever they purchased instead of leased, probably sold the customer data and subscriptions and customer base and everything. But I'm sure that selling the assets was not a ton of money. You never know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the big asset was their logic that they built out, all that back end of how to provide recommendations and suggestions for customers of how to invest. I think that was their biggest asset that they would have been selling to E-Trade.
Yeah, well, I think what it came down to, is that it was just purely the market crash. Like, I used to work at Scottrade. I had multiple clients who had software that did exactly this. And I think if it was a crappy product, E-Trade, Schwab, like Schwab's the #1 brokerage firm when it comes to investors. So if they were interested before the crash, they would have been interested without the crash. And blocking any one of those people, I mean, Schwab, they do millions upon millions of trades a day. I mean, that alone, like, just the licensing fees with that would have been in the millions easily a month. And so I feel like, yeah, he didn't do the right research at the beginning, but when it came down to it, it was the market crash that really made sure. I feel no matter what he did, he wouldn't have been able to be successful at the level he was spending.
I think the biggest thing that was telling to me was, I wrote it down somewhere. I pasted it. It was a verbatim that he gave, actually on that same front. So he was taking those trips to New York, and he said, I was looking for a big firm like Schwab.com or eTrade.com to pay Cake to license our software and improve their user experience. I didn't really care if people came directly to CakeFinancial.com. I just wanted them to use Cake's functionality to manage their portfolios and for us to be able to use the data. I feel like at that point where he's basically saying, I didn't even care about the customer experience or if customers were even coming and liking it. In my opinion, I think he kind of lost touch. It's like if your customer, if you don't care about your customers and whether they're coming in and using the product, how are you going to know if the product is any good other than your own validation that, hey, we've got a good product, we're going to sell it to E-Trade, but we don't care if our customers like it or not. I thought that was like an interesting quote. But I don't know. I think that I agree with you, John. I think that from a first time outing, I think that he probably learned a lot. I think the biggest thing that he learned, in my opinion, was bringing on the right product manager, which he didn't do until like a year into it. Yeah. He found the right guy that really kind of brought things in the right direction. Had he cut his losses earlier, he wouldn't have necessarily brought in that partner and learned how important that role is.
Well, it also taught him what he's good at and what he's not good at.
Mm-hmm.
He's fine at coming up with the idea, but actually communicating over how to build that to the engineers, he's not great at. And so he needs that in-between person there to take care of that for him.
Yeah, I think it definitely taught him that he needs to hire the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Like he might come up with a good idea, but it kind of proved it. The fact that if he doesn't have the right people on board, it's really not going to take off.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, Jason?
No. Not really. I mean, the only thing, and everybody else has said, is I feel he didn't do any pre-product questionnaires. Like, for me, the investors, like I said, I worked at Scottrade. I dealt with all these people that they were targeting on a daily basis. None of them even knew what Twitter was. None of them cared. And if the majority of your customers are going to be male, no guy wants to give away his secrets. Like if you're winning fantasy football, you don't want to tell everybody else how to win and beat you at fantasy football. And see, that's what I said. Like my biggest critique and my biggest thing is I was like, I would have, instead of trying to do this weird thing, I would have made it a competition. Instead of saying, like, so there's another company that was focused on the females, you focus on the males. Make it a competition. Have like usernames, rankings, trying to beat other people, just like the investment game I'm doing with the class, with Market Watch. And it's like, I was like, man, if he did that, people would have been inviting their friends because they're like, hey, I want to beat you at this. Invite you.
I never thought about that as far as a competition, but I agree. I think the social element that they went with is ridiculous. I don't want my father-in-law or my friends or whoever seeing all of my investments and be like, why on earth are you investing in this?
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah. And then you also want to air your grief with showing how much money you have. So I always said, instead of showing money, they could just show percentages of your portfolio. So that way, so you're showing, and instead of investment, show classification. So okay, he has 50% in tech. You don't know if that's Apple, Microsoft. You don't know if that's 5% Microsoft, 45% Apple. Yeah. Those are the little tweaks I said. I was like, and then you could have had the user set their confidentiality that they were comfortable with. Yeah. Kind of like on Facebook, you can set what your friends see, what your inner circle sees, what your family sees.
Yeah, it's a really good idea. I like that one. Do we want to continue on to the next one?
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? It was the Andreessen Horowitz. Does someone want to go over that?
I can go
Michael
over
or
I'll let one of you. I read it, but that's about all I've done on it. So
yeah, that's about all we've done too. Ultimately, we've got this firm that they feel like they have a really niche market, right? They have this unique way of of pairing up, I guess, the big financiers and all of the startups, and they're debating whether they want to double their size, essentially, right? And honestly, that's really about as far as I got. It's terrible. I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing. I glanced through it all, but when you go through the discussion survey or whatever, the question is, should they double in size using a geographic method, or should they double in size going a different sector route? So just looking at and thinking about what they were all about, I think that they should probably go double in size in a geographic route, because they already have like their niche within their sector and the things that they like to do. If you were doubling in size, in my opinion, you're already probably going to have to build upon your infrastructure and slightly change the way that you have your team set up, and have a little bit more on the management front and changing teams in that route. So if you're already going to be doing that, it makes sense to keep what your business model is at this time, and just start, in a different geography, go to New York or whatever it was. I think this one's in Silicon Valley, so it'd be probably opening an office in New York.
Right.
That was my thought from it. What do you guys think?
No, I agree. I kind of thought the same thing. Like, you're saying, they kind of have like the niche market down, and if they expand, geographically, I don't know. I just think they'd have more success.
I think
I just hate Andreessen Horowitz. I hate Andreessen. I hate him. I used to see him on CNBC every day at Scottrade, and I just hated the guy. Like, just how he talked. He, if I remember, he's one of the guys that got kind of accused of possibly doing insider trading. He was back and forth with the SEC. His hedge fund was doing horrible, and and then I just hated the guy. He's just one of those typical people. It's like when you get really high in investing, you're not really selling the company, you're selling the advertising for the company, saying, I'm going to convince a bunch of people to buy the stock, regardless of what's happening. And that's what he's just one of those people. He's always on CNBC, always on Fox News, Fox Business. He's always on, Bloomberg, and he's always selling his new pick, trying to convince everybody to jump in so he makes money off of it. Just drives me crazy. But on this, I agree with you guys completely, the geography thing, because he's known for the tech, and that's what they always were based off of, tech things. And so he needed to branch out, and everybody knew you went to Silicon Valley for tech, and you went to New York for financial, and you go to different areas of the country for different things. And so you need to be in those areas and have a footprint to get business.
See, I went the other way with it. I thought they need to stick in the Silicon Valley area, but expand out to the different tech divisions that were referenced, biotech and the clean tech. And the only reason why I was leaning towards that one, based on my brief reading of it, was they were concerned about the number of staff that they're going to have to add on, and how they're going to expand that out as they grow, and just the cost that's associated with that versus the revenue that they'd gain from these other startups. And there's a lot of uncertainty still in New York, and a lot of uncertainty in China of just how that'd work. And when you relocate completely across the country, the amount of cost and infrastructure that you have to build out into the new city versus being able to leverage kind of pre-existing things that you have if you just expand to different parts of tech, but within the same location. Financially, it's a little cheaper to be able to still stay all within the Silicon Valley area and be able to leverage some of the people that you already have in place to be able to handle that without having to commute or travel back and forth and set up entire infrastructure in a different city location.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with some of that. I think in my mind, it's like if you've already got the connections in the one sector, which would be very valuable, and those connections would probably transition over geographically. But I think the reason I was thinking geography is it would be harder to reinstill. Well, and you wouldn't even necessarily know if that same strategy would work the same in other sectors. It's possible, but you probably have to alter your strategy a little bit. And honestly, I think either one would work. It's just a matter of, what you decide to go with. I read something in there. They were talking about how, were they confident that they would be able to expand in size and bring on new people that would correctly run their current processes and things like that. It's like, come on, you'd be able to find people that are doing the same thing you're doing. You guys aren't that special. Like, you just have to, put the legwork in and find the people.
No, I think you're spot on with it. Either model can definitely work. It's all in how it's executed, and I think that's the biggest thing, is just how they look to execute it, of how they can be able to accommodate it. So
yeah. Any other thoughts?
I think it just kind of depends on what they want to do. I think the geographic diversification one, it's tricky. Like, it'd be more of a risk, but I think there's more reward in it. Whereas the other one's kind of taking the safe route, just kind of sticking with what they already know. So it just kind of plays into what, they want to do, more risk, more reward, or just play it safe with probably a little less, reward.
Yeah, maybe it's a long-term advantage. They already have the two facilities, then to go different sectors. I think that either one would work. I still think that I would probably go geographic if I've already got my idea and business model down and things like that. But they're valid points for sure. The costs associated with creating a new office and creating new leadership within the office and all the rest. I just feel like some of that you would already have to do anyway from a leadership or employee standpoint. So the extra expenses are more so the facilities themselves and the traveling, if that's required.
One additional benefit I see of keeping it all in one location is that the continuity of a business model and the structure that they'd be able to provide from top down is a little bit easier to communicate than when it's cross country. The leadership cross country would have their understanding of the model, and depending on how well they understand the overall model and how they execute that, could be different. Whereas in the same location, it's easier to disseminate and communicate the same business strategy across the board and go drive it.
Yeah, definitely valid concerns for sure. You have any thoughts on that one, Jason? Have you had a chance to read that one yet?
I hadn't read that one, no. The GenapSys one.
Yeah. That one was the Andreessen one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the Andreessen Horowitz, whatever.
Andreessen Horowitz.
Horowitz, yep.
All right. Well, shall we talk about the GenapSys one? Just before we got on, I had a chance to read this one, so it was even less than the Andreessen Horowitz. So do we want to go over this one, or do we want to do it another time? What are your guys' thoughts?
I haven't read it, so if we do, I won't have any input.
I haven't read it yet. I wasn't able to get to that.
Do we want to? There are a couple of options. I like the idea of meeting Thursdays, just once a week. But we can meet again like next Monday or Tuesday or something, and then from there on out, just meet Thursdays. We'd want to meet Monday or Tuesday. What are your guys' thoughts?
I should be okay too. I'm done working this Friday, and so that's why I could only meet on Thursdays. But I'm pretty open from now on.
I mean, Thursday I do young men's activities, so I have to. Yeah, every other night I'm good, but this night's probably the one night where I have to be at like 9 o'clock Eastern time or later. But then all the other nights, 7 o'clock Eastern or later, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty open Monday or Tuesday, anytime after 4 o'clock Mountain. I can be able to meet if we want to pull up on the other one.
Okay. Do we want to interrupt family home evening for a couple minutes Monday, or do we want to shoot for Tuesday? Tuesday, I've got young men's as well, so it'd have to be after probably 8:30 on Tuesday if we did that. 8:30 Mountain Time.
Yeah, and my other
that would be 10:30
classmates on Tuesdays, so Monday works best for me.
What's the earliest everyone could meet on Monday?
7. I mean, so Mountain Time it would be 5.
5 o'clock Mountain Time. Could you meet that early, John?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could meet till like 9 o'clock your Mountain, so 5 to 9, anywhere in there.
Okay. And you said 5 o'clock would be okay, Michael?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Let's shoot for that. 5 o'clock Monday, Mountain Time. Is that okay for everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 5 o'clock on Monday?
Yeah. The main reason to go over the GenapSys one, the one that's due next Wednesday. So they're on after. We'll still plan on meeting next week, Thursday, to go over the one that's going to be due next Saturday, right?
It'll be the 2 of them, right? The one due
Okay.
Saturday and the one due the following Wednesday.
Correct. Yeah. So on next Thursday, and we'll remind one another on Monday that for the Thursday one, you're going to go over the one due Saturday and the one next Wednesday. That way we're meeting once a week and not having to meet twice a week. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts?
Have you guys ever used GroupMe? You ever heard of it?
No, never heard of it. Never used it.
It's like an app.
Heard of it?
I think I think it's an app. I think you just need people's emails, and it's just like a messaging, so you don't just check your email. I don't know. Like I'm good either way. I've just used it in my other classes, and it seems like everyone gets them, so they don't have to check their email to see what's going on. But like I said, I'm good either way.
Okay. Does anyone really care? Like, do you want me to keep setting these up, or I'm fine to do so if you want me to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm usually on my email once or twice a day at least. So
I'm good.
Okay.
I
Appreciate it, Patrick.
Yeah, I check my email all day long. So.
Okay.
Cool. Well, Monday at 5.
Also, I have Google Hangouts on my phone, so if you just use this Hangout and message me through Hangouts, that would work too.
Yep. All right.
Okay, yeah. I do too. So.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you taking the time, and y'all have a good evening.
All right, thanks. Thanks for setting it up.
Bye-bye.
You too. See you guys Monday.